Hi, welcome to the Gear Garage. My name is Zach, and this is my little show about whitewater things. And in today's episode, I want to go through the contents of what I'm going to call a safety repair emergency kit. Just all kind of stuff you want to have with you in case something goes wrong. And a lot of us, we buy all these expensive rafts and boats and things, and we neglect this. And then what I'm going to show you, this is about $500 worth of stuff. This isn't cheap. It's just another expensive boating, but it's going to be crucial if something goes wrong. Everybody doesn't necessarily have to have all this stuff, but at a minimum, somebody in your group should have this. And I like it all in one place personally. And so I put this kit together. And we're about to do our class 4 rowing schools, and there are a bunch of day trips with light boats. This is really good for light boats, for day trips, light boats. If I'm going to do an overnight trip, it's going to be a much bigger kit with a more bigger everything. Everything's going to get supersized in a multi-day kit with heavy boats. With light boats, doing day trips, this is kind of what I like. And this one I just put together, so all this stuff is fresh in my mind, and it's my latest thinking. I've done previous episodes about this before in the past. This is sort of like the latest and greatest, and my just thoughts about what I'm thinking today, which will evolve over time. You know, I'm always kind of tweaking, making it better, learning about new tools that I like, new things that I like. And for those of you watching, if you have things to add, please comment in the section below. I learn from that. I'm like, oh, that's a really cool idea. I should do this. I should do that. It helps me inform what I'm doing to be better and better. I'm a very iterative person. I'm always trying to make things slightly better. I don't think have this stuff perfectly done now. First of all, I put this in a watershed bag. I think the watershed Chattooga size is a great size for this kit. It's not over bulky where it's going to get in your way, but it can hold the essentials. These bags are waterproof, and so it's the right bag to have. They make liners for these bags. You may not be able to see it here. There's a little liner in here. I would say get the liner. It's another 35 bucks or so. But when I put metal stuff in here before, it's put holes in the bag. And the liner is just a nice way to protect the bag. It just creates a nice space inside the bag, too, to put the stuff. You can see it just kind of organizes it really well. I don't know if you can see in there very well, but I really like the liners as well. So I'm going to recommend the Chattooga bag with the liner. And I want a bright color. I want this thing to stand out. So the ones we use for our trips are red. They don't make red anymore, so I bought these orange ones because they're bright. I can quickly identify it. So cool, let's go through the contents real quick. The first thing is, this is going to be my repair kit. This is my oar boat repair kit. And we'll go through what's in here real quick. I have Tear Aid, and Tear Aid is great for raft repairs. It's pretty much all you really need nowadays. This is type B. I recommend type A for almost everything. I just had extra type B. I didn't want to throw it away. Type B works. That's perfectly adequate for most repairs. It just isn't, in my opinion, as good as type A. So but I have it because I don't want to throw it away, and it's expensive stuff. Along with that, I'm going to bring a little pair of scissors. And so you need to cut this stuff. You need to round the edges, and you want nice cuts. You don't want to use your knife to make kind of a jagged edge. And so I'm going to bring scissors along with that as well. Also, this is a valve tool. A lot of you may have seen this in repair kits. I've never used this in the field, I don't think. Maybe I have once or twice. But it weighs nothing. It's simple, and it can really help out in a pinch. So I bring that with me. I also bring, you'll notice I carry a lot of flashlights with me just in case. And if you're out overnight for some reason, which happens, or you're out past dark, having more than one flashlight, or having one is critical. So I had a few of these little Petzl safety flashlights on all my stuff because I've been caught out a couple times, and the flashlights have been crucial. Some tools, vice grips I use for a lot of different things. That's nice to have a pair of vice grips. I also have, I work with a lot of NRS frames in our classes, and if you have an NRS frame, this is crucial. A ratchet with a 1/2 inch deep socket is really nice. Now there are other things you can have to adjust the NRS frames, but you need to have something. And I do so much of it. I like having something really bomber like this. I bring a spare Oar Lock because these things do break. I've seen them break a few times, and so having one with you is critical. And as many of you know, I run pins and clips. So in my personal kit, I bring a spare pin, but it's not in this kit because when we're teaching classes, we pretty much always teach on Oar Locks. So I bring a spare Oar Lock, and even if I'm running pins and clips, I'll bring the spare Oar Lock to help somebody else. I've been out there before when I have pins and clips, but somebody broke an Oar Lock, and I was able to help them with a spare. And you really need a spare when you're boating. Next are channel locks. I really dig channel locks, or the Knipex tools like this. Again, with the channel locks and the vice grips together can do a lot. And so these two are different tools that can actually work together for a variety of things you might need to fix. This is a little thing Sawyer used to make to tighten the blades on oars. There's a little screw in there, And you could use a screwdriver. You could probably figure out how to tighten it, but this thing does a really good job of doing it well without stripping it. So if you have Sawyer oars and have that little screw tightener, this is nice to have. And those blades loosen over time. And so you might find it put in, it's loose, and having something like this is super handy. Sawyer makes a little keychain like this now too. This one's just really nice. And finally, I bring a screwdriver. There's a million reasons to have a screwdriver. This one's an 8-in-1, so it has a Phillips and a regular. And then this size is what you use for hose clamps on pins and clips, this as a nut driver. So I really like this tool for a variety of things in the repair kit. And I also, yeah, I do have it in there. I forgot it. I also bring a Leatherman. I've never used a Leatherman, but you know, the pliers are kind of useful. But there's a file on here. There's a number of things that I might use in a pinch. And so I throw a Leatherman in there anyway. I don't know if you have to, but that's what I do. So that's what I bring for repair stuff. I think the key here is have everything you need for your frame. Every frame is a little different. Some have different bolts and nuts and attachments. And then think about others. Like what do you need to help your friends if they get in a pinch? And so that's why I like Type A tear so much, because it works on pretty much all boats, where B works better on some and not others. And so Type A is more universal to me. That's my experience. I could be wrong. Next, let's go on to some of the safety kit stuff I bring with me. And first of all, I bring pulleys, prussics, and carabiners for providing mechanical advantage and a number of things in rescue and equipment and retrieval. And I put these together. I put the pulley, the locking carabiner, and the prussic on one sort of thing together, because usually these go together. So you don't have to like pull everything and fiddle with it. You're like, hey, go set this up, sir. And somebody will go set some up, you know. So I usually put these together. And I really like sewn loop prussics. There is no reason we are tying prussics in this world when sewn loop ones are so good. These Sterling ones are amazing. The auto blocks, just, I mean, I don't know why everybody's just not using them. They're spectacular. Here's a second one. Same thing. I could set up a 3-to-1 with adder redirect with these two things. I believe that we should have 3 pulleys for a number of reasons, and one of them is potentially adding a redirect to a 3-to-1. But I carry a pulley in my PFD. That's a personal choice I've made. So I have 2 in my kit and 1 on me, so I have 3 total in my system. You may want to add a third one to here if you want to. Next is webbing. And I find webbing just so useful in so many situations. I like a lot of it to do anchors on trees, on rocks, 2-point anchors on boats. And so I have 3 20-foot sections here, which might seem like overkill. It may be. I would say at a minimum 2 15-foot sections, but 2 or 3 20-foot sections is nice, or even 30-foot sections. And the thing about webbing is you can cut it in half. So if you have a 30-foot section, you can make a 10 and a 20 if you need it, or 2 15. So definitely webbing here as well. I'm just noticing I don't have carabiners in here. I also throw another 4 carabiners. I'll have to actually have them back here. So I'll throw 4 carabiners in like this. That's more carabiners than you need total, because that means I have 4 here, a 5th one here, and I have 2 more here for 7 total, which is a lot of carabiners. But I find in rescue situations, carabiners are like a commodity, or like a currency. People are always needing them for different things. Sometimes they get dropped, they get lost, and so just having a bunch available for a quick fix is really nice. So I like to overcompensate with some extra carabiners. You don't need to. It's just something that I choose to do in a pinch. And then, good old Gorilla Tape or duct tape. This can solve so many problems in a lot of different things. So I bring Gorilla Tape, and it's still in the packaging. Hopefully we don't have to use it, but it's in there as well. So, that's what's inside this kit. Another thing about having the liner inside is when it sits here, it sits nice and open. Things go in really easy. So it gives it some form and some shape when you're using it. So a couple of things are really quick about this kit. One, you'll see there's no rope in there. And to me, a rope, of course, is a critical part of a safety kit. And so when I'm doing an overnight trip or I have heavy gear boats, I have a big old static line. Nothing beats a big old static line. But I know for a lot of us, it's not realistic to buy a $200 static line and haul it along all the time. And it's nice to have, but it's not realistic, and that's another few $100s for this line. And so what I'm going to say is have a throw bag that's really good available that can help you do some light pulling. And this isn't going to be like a major rescue rope, but it can do some light pulling in conjunction with some of the rescue tools here. So maybe it's just like your regular old throw bag. This will be really good for throwing, but it's going to have a lot of stretch, which is going to be bad for pulling. And so this will do in a pinch, but this, you're not going to put heavy loads on this. The issue is not that it's going to break necessarily. It's that when you pull, it's going to stretch, and a lot of your energy is going to go into the stretch of the rope. A really good rope comes in the Nrs Rescue Pro Bag. I'm not a fan of this bag itself, but the rope inside is the sterling. It's really good pulling rope. It's not as good as a full-on static line, but it's really good. And this one is terrible for throwing. So I'll bring this as a rescue line and use it as a throw bag in a pinch. So these are kind of different things, like mainly a throw bag, rescue line as a pinch, mainly a rescue line, throw bag in a pinch. So you need a good throw bag to accentuate this stuff so you have a rope to pull on. And then some other things I put in my personal kit just to share a couple last minute thoughts about some things. I carry a handsaw in my kit. I really like this one. It's a really high quality one. Not only for on the river if I run into a log that's a danger I need to cut or somebody's stuck on it. And here in the Northwest we have a lot of wood on the river, so I think having a saw is a really nice feature. But I've also used it just to get the put in. A small tree fell across the road. We were able to pull out this, cut it. So I think a saw is a really nice tool. And also my first aid kit's right here, and it's specialized to my training, my experience, and my needs. And so I have normal first aid kit stuff in here for sure, but I also have a little fire starter here. I'm not sure if you can see the fire starter. I have some really fancy, I really like the Leatherman, this Leatherman tool that turns into shears. I've used this a bunch in the field, and for me, if I have this in my first aid kit, this replaces the scissors because I can cut tear aid really well with this. And I also have another headlamp in here. So I have 2 headlamps total. That way, as a group, if there's like 8 of us, at least 2 people can have headlamps. And that's even still not enough. But I like having a lot of headlamps. So this thing has a lot of things that are specialized to my thoughts and needs. And finally, an emergency communication device. So let me see if I can find it in this pile. I don't see it here. But I think having, at a minimum, a phone is kind of crucial for communication. Now, that assumes you're in cell service, but if there's a massive medical or something that happens where you need a quick evacuation, you can call 911, get somebody out there really quickly. I think it's crucial for communication if something goes wrong. But also a phone is great because it has maps. If you get lost, you can have maps built into it. You can take photos of just your trip, but also if there's an emergency, having photo documentation is actually incredibly helpful for after action reviews and things like that. So I'd highly recommend trying to bring your phone. I put mine in my PFD. It's up to you. But also, I can't find it here. I have one of those little tiny emergency communication satellite things. I bring that as well. Again, I'm very conscientious that something will go wrong on the river that could necessitate a very fast evacuation. Not just like an accident. Somebody I'm with having a heart attack, a stroke, something out of our control. And so, out of responsibility, I feel like having a little satellite. There's a little tiny one. I can't find it here, but I have a little tiny one I bring with me. I think it's an important thing. So just to recap, have all the repair stuff you need with you. Have the rescue stuff you know how to use and are trained on, along with some sort of rope option. Bring a first aid kit that matches your skills and what you're doing. Think about other stuff you like yourself, and also some way to communicate out if there's an emergency. And yeah, that's all the stuff I'm going to bring. If you have thoughts about more stuff, better stuff, different stuff, I love learning from this channel. So this is what I do. It's not perfect. I think it's perfect, but of course that's just my opinion, But if you have better ideas, share them with me. I'd love to hear them. If you have questions, of course, ask a question or, put that in the comment section down below. And a lot of this stuff I have an Amazon little list for, and so if you want to just go pick them off Amazon, the things that you might want, I'll put a link down in the notes for the channel. And yep, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.